So a month or two ago, I got to play in the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League Alpha, and today, this morning, Rocksteady have sort of half lifted their NDA around the alpha, so I can talk about it now and my experiences and what I got to do, but I can't show you any of the gameplay I captured, which sucks. So I'm going to use gameplay put up by IGN and all those other sites that have put up their previews in the last couple of days, and we are going to discuss it. Now, why did they lift the NDA? Clearly, they're not very happy with what a lot of the big media outlets have been saying about their game, and they're hoping lifting the NDA will allow the people that have actually gone in, the gamers, quote unquote, that have gone in and played their game, hopefully they'll talk favorably about the game in the lead up to release. And I'm here to tell you that I am not one of those people. So when the opportunity arose to play the Suicide Squad, I jumped on it, I signed up to play in this alpha, and I was very excited, to say the least, when I was approved to play in it. So we're just going to break down what I got to play, my experience with the game, the things I think they were hiding, the things they didn't hide, and basically what they let us play with. We got a very select section of the game, which I played through with all 4 of the characters. You do have access to all 4 of these squad members from the get-go. So I played through the story 4 times, the story part they allowed us to play, with all 4 characters, so I can talk to how each one of them feels. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the game starts off with you completing a sort of tutorial where you'll get to play as each member of the Suicide Squad, figure out exactly which one you enjoy, but you'll know how to play all of them. They all play very similar, but have certain things that make them very different, and that being their sort of special abilities. Now, it's not really explained how these abilities come into play here. That's explained more into the story. The tutorial seems to take place a little bit into the story, so it's almost like we're seeing the end at the beginning sort of thing that we see with a lot of video games. But effectively, you are taught how to shoot, what the special abilities for each character is, and exactly how each character differs from one another. Now, the differences aren't great, but they are noticeable. For example, Deadshot has a jetpack ability, which allows him just to fly around, shoot. He's also the only sort of character that uses sniper rifles, so he's built up to be very much a movement-based, long-range sort of character. And each character is sort of built to be different. You'll see Harley Quinn, she's very melee focused in my opinion, and also uses pistols and small SMGs, sort of making her feel quicker and also a bit of a heavy hitter. You've got Captain Boomerang, who primarily uses what I would say sort of like heavy small, if that makes sense. So you've got him also using some sort of SMG a lot of the time, plus shotguns, 6-shooters, those sorts of weapons. He also has a teleport ability, which allows him to sort of zip around. I think it's meant to be more like super speed, but it comes off feeling more like teleportation, if I'm being honest. And then you have King Shark. Now, he's built up as the tank, the brute. His special ability is the fact that he's just a massive, massive god. Like, he will go to town on enemies. He has the ability to jump up really high and then come back down like the meteorite that wiped out the dinosaurs. He is probably one of the more fun characters to play because he just does feel so tanky, especially in some of these instances where you're fighting larger groups of enemies. Some of the other characters can feel less effective in those areas as they will go down a lot quicker, but then again, it all depends on your skill level as well. All in all, the characters are built different enough that they feel separate from each other, but in the way this game is being built leaves us in a very interesting situation going forward, with new members eventually being added as this is being touted as a games as a service game. I don't know how they're actually going to make these new characters that they'll eventually add to the game feel different from these characters. I feel like they've already pushed these characters as far as they can in terms of making them feel different. So adding a 5th or a 6th character to the game, I wonder exactly what they'll do to 1, make this new character feel fun, 2, make them fit in with this world they've built, and 3, make them feel different from the characters they already have. Because all in all, these characters do have different abilities, but are effectively the same. So after the tutorial, the game begins and the squad are instructed by Amanda Waller that they are on mission. They have the explosives in their head. Look, it's very standard. If you've read any Suicide Squad comic, watched any of the animated movies, or seen the films themselves, you basically get the gist. Suicide Squad are bad guys. Getting prison time off their sentence happens when they complete the mission. They have an explosive in the back of their head. Amanda Waller's in charge. They do as they're told. If not, boom, bye-bye. So the Suicide Squad are down in a sort of subway sort of train station. They work their way upwards through a building, and they find themselves in the Hall of Justice. Whilst inside the Hall of Justice, you can clearly see something isn't right. The place is absolutely trashed. And the Suicide Squad take it upon themselves to actually trash the place a little bit themselves. This is also where the squad get their special abilities. So, basically on display are a set of tools and gadgets that the League and villains themselves have used in the past. This is where each member of the squad, except for King Shark, get their abilities from. So, Harley takes a grapnel and a bat drone, allowing her to traverse the city a lot more easily, grapple to new heights, and the drone is there literally to give reason as to why she can grapple just in the middle of midair. Captain Boomerang takes Dr. Zavana's Speed Force Gauntlet, allowing him to teleport around. It's supposed to be super speed, but it's just a teleport. You're able to like teleport to certain places in the direction you're pointing. It just, moves him really fast. Deadshot gets a jetpack, allowing him to boost around in combat, as well as traverse the city a lot more easily. I think you're starting to understand that these abilities aren't really... Well, they can be used in combat, but they're more traversal focused rather than combat focused. A way to make traversal around the city feel different from each other. Otherwise, they're all just going to be walking around while King Shark jumps up like the god he is and does what he does. King Shark's the only character that doesn't get anything here. He does pick up a hat, which the team tell him is the Hat of Invisibility. He then places it upon his head and you get a bit of a haha funny. That's the one thing I will give this game. The humor's actually kind of on point. There are a lot of moments in this alpha where I did actually find myself laughing. The squad's interactions with each other and the performances that are done by the actors here are quite good. They definitely feel like a team. You can tell this isn't their first time interacting with each other, their first time doing the whole Suicide Squad thing. So when they do take the crap out of each other, it definitely feels like a family taking the crap out of each other. It's good. The acting's great. Characters, they feel like the characters. They feel like they're supposed to. During this cutscene was also where I experienced my first sort of little glitch in the alpha. It's nothing too major. Well, it kind of is major if you really think about it, but basically it didn't affect gameplay. Just in the middle of the cutscene, King Shark really did become invisible. After placing on the hat and the joke is made, the team start talking about what they're going to do next, while King Shark casually rises out of sight and off the screen. It's quite funny. Standing there with the hat on, he begins to rise and just disappears from the scene altogether, with a disembodied voice chipping in every now and again when it was needed. But after this, we have free reign of the Hall of Justice, and this is where I took it upon myself to explore a little bit. Going around the Hall of Justice, you have a whole bunch of interactables, allowing you to hear different stories from different Justice League members, talking about how the League was founded, how it all came together. It was very cool. It was great to hear Kevin Conroy again, and all the other actors who were playing Justice League members do a very serviceable job and sound exactly how I would imagine the characters to sound. So, from here, the squad leave the Hall of Justice, head to the roof, doors open up, and this is where we get the bombshell of Brainiac. Brainiac has taken over the city, and in turn, taken over the Justice League themselves. This is where we sort of get an interaction with Green Lantern. Green Lantern comes down and effectively takes the squad captive, and then gives us exposition. He's basically the exposition dump at the start of the game, explaining exactly what happened. Basically, Brainiac came, the League fought, the League lost, and now the League is under control of Brainiac as he assimilates the city. He's basically taking over. All the creatures, all the enemies that you're going to be fighting during the game are actually Metropolis residents that have been corrupted by Brainiac and become these monstrous things. It's pretty full on, but basically Metropolis is screwed. There is not going to be much they can do about it. They're just going to have to deal with it. Metropolis is totally screwed. It's after this exposition dump that a revelation occurs. Not all the Justice League members have been corrupted. The Flash appears in this instance and unintentionally helps the Suicide Squad escape captivity from Green Lantern. Now, I'm not going to spoil the story, but basically what happens here, Flash shows up, helps Justice League unintentionally, Justice League get free, Flash is on the move, and Waller wants you to basically bring in the Flash. None of it goes to plan. Team returns to Hall of Justice. We then discover that Wonder Woman is also a character that has not been corrupted yet by Brainiac. The team then comes to the realization that they need weapons to be able to fight back against these superheroes, these gods among men, to which Waller informs them that the Penguin has been handing out weapons that are basically alien-proof weapons. Like, they will fight back against these aliens. So the squad go to apprehend Penguin to bring him back to the base so he can basically become the squad's weapons dealer. More humor ensues, and then the squad have an interaction with the Batman. We find out that Batman is one of the corrupted. We basically see him kill directly in front of the team. It's pretty full on. But we do have a, depending on how you look at it, cool sort of Arkham nod here. So effectively, you go through a Batman museum where you interact with different interactables that tell the story of the Arkham franchise. We get to the very end and we see the ending of Arkham Knight. And then the game decides to spit in the face of Arkham fans and show that years later, Batman revealed himself to be alive. He was the Demon Bat at the end of Arkham Knight, basically destroying the ending that was put into place at the end of Arkham Knight. I feel like I'll do a video going in depth on this once the Suicide Squad game comes out. I'm not ready to talk about it yet. But yes, effectively, Batman is back and he is now corrupted. And we have a very interesting section where it is effectively a Predator section from the Arkham game. But instead of being Batman taking out the enemies one by one, you are the enemies. You play as each member of the squad in this moment and Batman takes you out one by one. It's quite cool. It's quite awesome. A Batman just destroys you and then has to leave. And you're free to go about what you're doing again. From here, the squad are given orders. They head to this location and then are locked off by Green Lantern. And that is where the alpha ends, right before what I assume is the Green Lantern boss fight. So that's all I got to play in the alpha, a little vertical slice of the story, which was probably the best thing about it. So the one thing we didn't really get to experience too much is the games as a service elements in the game. They definitely felt locked away. We didn't get to see the battle pass. You could play online with friends, but that was about it. Game feels like a third-person Destiny with the guns being color-coded to rarity. They have different attributes. You're able to swap up your costume, change the color of the costume. The costumes that they gave us access to didn't have any attributes attributed to them, but I feel going forward we will probably see a Deadshot helmet that makes aiming easier or something of that nature. They were very selective of what we got to play in the alpha. You could definitely tell that from the get-go. The city itself is very open and does feel quite large, but stray a little bit too far, and Amanda Waller threatens to blow your head off. So I assume these are sections of the city that will be opened up as time goes on. But all in all, it wasn't terrible. Was it amazing? Absolutely not. But it wasn't terrible. The humor in the game was quite good. The gameplay felt tight, although it feels like something that could get boring as time goes on. The story itself was probably the best aspect. I think it'll be very interesting to see where it's going. Is there going to be some sort of remedy to what's going on? It seems that members of the Justice League are going to have to die, and I'm very interested to see how they're going to handle this going forward. With the game being a games as a service, a game that will continue on once the credits roll, it'll be interesting to see if they do walk back the death of the Justice League, or if we just live in a world without heroes now, and we're going to have to put up with the villains filling that role. Is this game spitting in the face of the Arkham franchise? And in a way, it sort of feels like it does. It feels like the people making this game are not the people that made the Arkham franchise, and it feels like it. It feels like a kid telling their parents they don't need them anymore. That's what it feels like. Just the Batman Museum itself feels like a spit in the face of that. To talk about the great story that was the Arkham franchise, to get to the pivotal moment in this museum, which is the ending of Arkham Knight, the ending of Batman's story, only to then walk through a door and see a massive cutout of the Arkham Batman shaking hands with Superman. Hey, I'm not the Demon Bat anymore. I'm here. I'm joining the Justice League. Hey, nothing that came before really matters because I'm back, baby. It's all rather sad, especially if you're a massive Arkham fan, as I am and many others are. That they've done this. I feel like this game could have been fine. I feel like one of the big things about this game that pisses people off is the fact that it is set in that universe. If they had literally just not done that, if they had literally just said that this is a brand new universe, this is not the Rocksteady Arkham universe, this is the Rocksteady Suicide Squad universe, I feel like a lot of people would probably be a little bit more lenient on the game. As far as story is concerned, the games as a service stuff, once it eventually drops in Feb, we'll definitely be able to see that a lot better and see if this game has any legs. But as far as the Arkham stuff goes, it's pretty sad. As an Arkham fan, it does, in certain spots, feel like a kick in the nuts. Which really does suck. Especially seeing as this is Kevin Conroy's last go-round as Batman, as Arkham Batman. I just hope that, they show him the respect he deserves. Fingers crossed. But yeah, as far as this alpha goes, the story was the best part. I think there is a lot of cool stuff here. The characters are portrayed well. The gunplay feels tight, but does feel like something that would get boring over time. I hope there are new things that they can do to really like freshen it up as the story goes along. Perhaps adding additional abilities on top of the Batclaw, the jetpack. This game feels very much like something that we've seen before. I feel like if you're an Arkham fan, you're probably not going to like the game, but there will definitely be people out there that vibe with this game. For example, if you're a Destiny fan, you're probably going to find something in here for you. If you're this type of person that likes to log on, do their dailies, do their weeklies, I think this game is probably going to be for you. If you're a fan of the Suicide Squad, this game, as long as you stick to the story, is probably going to be for you. I didn't touch too much on the story stuff. I zipped through some sections. There are some characters that we talk about that show up that I haven't really spoken about. But yeah, effectively, the alpha was the beginning of the game. It didn't feel terrible, but it definitely felt like they cut it off before it got interesting and started implementing some of those games as a service elements. I don't know where this game is going to fall in the grand scheme of things in the year 2024. Like anything, it was just a little bit of it. I can't show you any of it, which sucks because I'd love to show you what I was able to get up to, but we're not allowed to show any of the footage that we captured. In conclusion, the Suicide Squad from a gamer's perspective, a player's perspective, it just feels like something we've seen before. It feels super generic. It feels super samey. If you're a Destiny fan, like I said, you're probably going to enjoy it. This feels like a third-person Destiny. And I think this game probably would do a whole lot better for itself without the Suicide Squad attached to it, without DC attached to it. This feels like it would come out with perhaps a completely different skin on it, and people would jump on it, enjoy it, and keep it alive. But because of what it represents, because of it being set in the Arkham universe, because it is the follow-up to one of the greatest games of all time by what was considered one of the greatest studios of all time, it just doesn't feel right. And I think it's going to fall flat on its face. I think it might be panned by critics, and I think in some aspects, rightfully so. In others, like, for example, IGN put up a video basically saying that it wasn't any good, it doesn't feel good, the Flash is too fast. I can't agree with everything they're saying. I agree with some of the things they're saying. But like anything, I think we should really withhold our judgment until the game fully releases. Right now on the 1-up scale, it's about a 6 out of 10. But again, until the game releases, I will withhold scoring anything. But yeah, as far as alphas go, I think it showed exactly what it wanted to, not what it needed to, unfortunately, to get people excited. I will save all judgments, and I hope everybody else saves all judgments until the game releases in February, until we can actually get stuck in and see where this game lies and where this game will be in a year's time. But yeah, that's basically my opinion and everything I got to do in the Suicide Squad Alpha. If you guys want more preview content like this, be sure to like and subscribe. But yeah, until next time, may all your games be good ones, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye, everybody.